Hey guys, my name is Shai and this is Evermind Astro. This particular video is about Aquarius rising. Okay, Aquarius rising. Super interesting. One of the most just fascinating ascendant signs, I would say, Aquarius rising, because I always feel like you guys are this, like, you have this wheel, okay? It literally makes my hands go like this. When I tune into Aquarius rising, it's like this wheel, and I feel like you're cycling through this wheel. So in my interpretation, one of the most significant things about the rising sign is it represents how you interact with the world as the world appears right in front of you. How you interact with people when you first meet them and when you're just kind of out and about in the world. And there's a little bit of this feeling of like this wheel. It's like you're spinning and spinning and spinning. And where's it going to land, right? Where's it going to land? Where's it going to land? And this comes down to the Aquarius. It's like the Aquarian thing with variety and diversity. And I mean, I think diversity gets thrown around a lot with Aquarius energy, but this focus on purely this love of variety, like variety for variety's sake, isn't necessarily mentioned all that much, maybe unless you're talking about Venus in Aquarius. Venus in Aquarius also really likes variety. And so Aquarius rising interacts with very you guys have a lot of variety going on, right? A lot of variety going on. That's both in terms of like what aspect of your personality are you going to present to the world today, and also like what kind of people are you going to interact with today. You guys are like one of the most flexible signs when it comes to what kind of people you can get along with or what kind of people you can be fascinated by. I think that's one of the things with Aquarius rising, is that you can take on almost more of like a studying type of mode, watching people, like to do people watching and studying people, thinking about what other people are doing, often allowing your mind and your thoughts to guide how you interact with others. This is another one of those signs, kind of similar to Gemini, where you might sometimes feel like a little bit of a chameleon. That's interesting, right? Because Aquarius is pretty much known for being so idiosyncratic, being so much of like an outsider, being so much of this like weirdo type of thing, right? But the most like strange manifestations of that is more of an Aquarius sun thing, and that is particularly because when the sun is in Aquarius, the sun is in exile. So Aquarius suns, their sun is literally in exile, and so that's what makes the Aquarius suns be this type of like idiosyncratic, really eccentric, really outsider type of energy. With the Aquarius rising, I mean, it can still manifest that way for sure, but you guys, I feel like, are better at blending in with the crowd. You might still, have a really strong sense of your authenticity and, your own integrity, probably really important to you. And maybe you dress in interesting and flamboyant ways or express yourself in unusual ways. But I think that you guys have more of a tendency to fit that to your environment out of a pure pragmatic type of interaction, right? You guys are going to be more similar to Gemini in how you match your environment, going, okay, today I'm going into the corporate world, I'm going to be corporate me, right? Or tomorrow I'm going to a party, I'm going to be sexy me, right? The next day I'm going to go play some volleyball, I'm going to be sporty me, right? You can be more diverse and have more variety with your own personality, your own identity, and how you interact with the world. And there's this feeling of, flexible isn't even really the word, right? Because flexibility is like this more mutable, fluid energy, right? And what we got to remember about Aquarius is that Aquarius is actually fixed energy, right? It's fixed air energy. So even though there's always this talk of diversity and stuff with Aquarius, and how Aquarius is so open-minded, and that is true, but it's also like fixed and stuck. It can be really fixed and stuck, right? It's like a wagon wheel. That's why I get this impression of a wheel with Aquarius, because it's this holistic thing. It's all of these different things put together, and it all turns and turns and turns, and you can have like, what numbers are going to fall on today, what personality is it going to fall on today, but the wheel itself doesn't really change, right? It's almost like you're like You create a map, you create a wheel of diversity and variety for yourself, and then pick and choose among those things. But you maybe don't necessarily like to blend that up or muck that up too much, right? It's like, this is the way it is. This is my this is my variety, and this is how I like it to stay, right? You actually see that a little bit with Aquarius suns, where even though they are some of the most open-minded people you will find, but they can also be like really stubborn about changing any of their viewpoints. It's like, I've decided that this is my open-mindedness, and my open-mindedness doesn't change. Right? That's the weird thing about, you know, the fixed air energy. So anyway, there's a little bit of an interplay here with Aquarius rising. I feel like you guys, when are you your truest selves, right? When are you your most authentic, truest selves? And I feel like even though you guys are really good at, you know, interacting with people, you might, some of you, right? This is only some of you. This is not going to be all of you. But if you're more introverted, or if you're more prone to social anxiety, right, you could find yourself faking it, right? This is when getting into the kind of middling, lower vibes of Aquarius rising, kind of doing the chameleon thing, taking that too far, maybe because, you know, you're not socially comfortable. And this is probably going to be more of an issue for most people when you're younger, like when you're a teenager and in your early 20s and all of that. But with your Aquarius, your rising sign, with your ascendant in Aquarius, then your descendant is in Leo. And the descendant is ruling your 7th house, which is the house of personal, like, partnerships, right? Partnerships. So you guys are probably more comfortable with one-on-one relationships, right? One-on-one relationships, because then you can truly shine, right? Then you can truly shine. That actually could be a very interesting thing in your life, where maybe you have this, it would depend, right? You could look at your chart and see, like, is your ascendant really emphasized? Like, do you have a bunch of placements in Aquarius, or is your first house empty, right? Or is your Leo energy, how's that looking? Is that really emphasized? Do you have placements there? Or do you have transits going on to the 7th house? Depending on where the emphasis is going, right? That will, you know, influence this to a rather large degree. But there might be some kind of, like, tension here between participating in the group and participating, like, in a partnership, right? In a partnership. I bet you guys really hate it if you feel like you are being forced to choose between your friends and your significant other, right? That is probably pretty triggering for you. Having to choose between friends and family, or your love life and your family, or your love life and your friends, or career and family, having this, like, being forced to choose between different scenarios or different groups of people in your life, you probably don't like that, like, at all, right? Which is, you know, just to throw it out there, other energies don't really have that problem. Like, for me, if I'm forced to choose between anything and my marriage, for example, for me, my marriage wins out hands down. I have no issues with that. I would throw my friends under the bus, right? Which is, I know that sounds terrible, right? Especially to, like, an Aquarius energy. It's not that I want to throw my friends under the bus, right? But it's that, what could possibly be more important than my marriage, right? What could possibly be more important than my marriage? Like, everything else has to come secondary to that. But of course, that's only my perspective. For reference, guys, I have Jupiter in the 7th house, so that tells you why I have such a big emphasis on, you know, partnership, right? And I have no Aquarius energy at all. For you guys, you're really going to be triggered by probably what I just said, and you're not going to like that kind of being forced to choose type of thing. But you might find that this very challenge comes up in your life, and what I would present to you as something you could think about if you so chose, is which scenario allows you to shine the most, right? And by shine, I mean, what makes you feel like you're shining? What makes you feel better, right? What makes you feel better? So I could even just put it that way. What feels better to you? Is it participating in the group? Does that make you really feel like, yes, this is why I'm here. This is why I'm alive, right? This makes me feel like I'm thriving. This makes me feel like I'm growing and expanding, and, like, my light is increasing, and, like, this. Is it participating in the group activity, whatever? Is that what does it for you? Or is it one-on-one relationships, right? Which can be like a best friendship, a business partnership, your parents or your children or your significant other, right? Is that where you feel like you shine, right? And this, you might find this playing out. A really easy example, I think, is imagine a musician, and maybe they play violin, right? Imagine a violinist who's used to playing in orchestras, right? And they really love being in the orchestra because what could possibly be better than that, right? You're part of this whole big group and you play concert halls and you play all of this music that's been handed down from the past, and it's like, yes, you feel like that is where you thrive. But also if you're a violinist in an orchestra, you're just another face in the crowd, right? You're just another face in the crowd. Who can even hear your violin? If you died, some other violinist, they're everywhere, would just show up and take your place, right? So what if you went and played, like, I should have used the example of cellos, right? Do you guys know two cellos? Those two guys who play cellos, and they're a band with just two cellos, right? I love them. I think they're great. But they might be a really good example here, actually, because they walk both worlds. They both still, to the best of my knowledge, still play in orchestras, still play in the classical world, right? The classical music world. But then they also go on like their rock tours and they play just the two of them, and the whole, they fill stadiums, right? They fill stadiums with just the two of them in partnership, right? What a funny example for that's so interesting. So most of these rising videos that I've been doing present with some type of challenge where we have to actually dial down some of the lower vibrational energy of our rising signs, right? Like for me, Scorpio rising, I've had to chill the fuck out and like not be so like insanely intense when I interact with people, right? And I didn't want to do that. I hated that. I thought that sucked until I accomplished it, and then I was like, okay, this is actually way better for me. So you can consider, right, if dialing down the Aquarian context of your interactions with people, could that be to your benefit? Is it something you'd like to do? Of course, you don't need to do this, and don't do it just because I told you to. But if you find that your group activities or your intergroup relationships, like dealing with the Aquarius scene, right, dealing with groups of people, if that has ever dragged you down, right, if that has made you ever feel faceless, or made you feel like a chameleon, made you feel like, does anybody notice me, right? Maybe do Aquarius rising, do you sometimes feel like a wallflower? Do you sometimes feel like nobody sees you in the room? And even though you enjoy participating in the social environment, it's like maybe you'd like to get up on the table and start dancing, right? So that people can see you. That Leo energy, right? That being seen, that shining for you, you get that in your 7th house energy, right? Your 7th house energy, your energy of partnerships. So you might find, guys, that you can shine a lot brighter and that you can be seen and be your truest self and really feel like you're thriving. You might find more of that in your life if you allow yourself to detach from the group just a little bit and engage more in one-to-one partnerships, one-on-one partnerships of any variety, right? Of any variety. And it doesn't mean, right, just like the two cellos, guys, you don't need to abandon anything, right? You can live in both worlds. You can have the best of both worlds. You can have both, right? You can have both. So it's not really about like rejecting or leaving behind, because you can't, right? You can't ever get rid of your ascendant sign. Like you can't, right? No matter how much I try to chill out and be nice as a Scorpio rising, right? I'll never, like, Scorpio eyes don't go away, right? Scorpio rising eyes don't go away. I will forever be like that, and I wouldn't want to lose that entirely anyway. But it's like balancing it out a little bit, right? Balancing it out just a little bit can help you have a more balanced life and can make you feel like you're getting more of what you want out of this life, and it can help you feel like you're thriving, and it can help you solve some of those like niggling problems, right? Some of those niggling problems that just kind of pester you just a little bit. So I think that's basically what I'm seeing for Aquarius rising. Very interesting sign. If you'd like to connect with me more deeply, I've got a bunch of links down below. I do readings. I do private readings, I do tarot readings, and I also do birth chart readings and transit readings. For, you know, those of you interested in astrology, which is all of you watching this, you can get that on my website or on my Etsy shop, whichever you prefer. I have another channel for starseeds and lightworkers. It's all tarot readings. That's also down there. And I have a newsletter sign up, or if you want to hear me talk about the transits, every 2 weeks I send out a newsletter. I also have a buy me a coffee if you'd like to leave me a tip, and I hope to see you guys around some other time. Talk to you later. Bye.